Schools miss a lot. Normally when we're talking, a lot of it actually has to do more with operations management than anything else. And by that, I mean a lot of schools will not realize that, hey, we need HVAC in this space. If you only have 3 PCs in a room and a console, HVAC, it might get a little warm in there, but not ridiculous, right? Unless it's a closet-sized room. But when you're putting something like 40 PCs in a space, and if you don't have the correct amount of HVAC in there, it's gonna get really hot really quick with 40 PCs being loaded up at all points in time. Not to mention if you're doing production and what that space looks like. The other thing they miss is internet. That's a big one. They have to make sure that the amount of internet coming in is valid for the space. Especially during a varsity level of play, there is no wireless. You want it to always be direct hooked into your pipe. That makes so you're getting the fastest internet possible, because in tournaments or in league play, half a millisecond is the difference between winning and losing. And when you're going into tournaments, it could be the difference between $1 million prize pool and $100,000 prize pool. So there is a difference. So you'll see everybody is usually direct hooked through a network switch. The third thing would be power. We have seen multiple places that try to just use their outlet in their wall and hook up 6 PCs, and that's not going to work. That will blow your circuit quicker than anything else. So usually we ask every school to have their electrician or an electrical engineer with them in case new power has to be put in, just to make sure that on boot up, as well as maintaining the ampage is correct. So it's not causing any problems in that room or in part of the school. And same thing with going back to internet. Usually we tell a lot of schools to make sure that they have their own pipe, or at least it's part of it siphoned off for that room, because gaming, especially as you're updating PCs, they take a lot of bandwidth. And if you're all on one pipe for the school, and all of a sudden at noon you decide to update 30 PCs, well, you're gonna drain a bunch of that pipe, and IT department is going to be none too pleased, as well as all the students and teachers trying to teach using the internet. So you gotta be careful of that. The other thing that a lot of people miss is just general operations of the space. Who is going to update these PCs? In high school, you're probably playing 2-3 games, so updates aren't really that big of a deal, and you might only have 6 to 12 PCs. So the administrator or teaching the kids how to do it, not a huge deal, right? But if you get into a major university that has 20 to 40 games on each PC and you have 40 PCs, are you going to manually go through and do that? Every Tuesday you're doing an update. Some games are Mondays, some games are Wednesdays, some games are hot fixes that just kind of come out. You also have to make sure that your graphics drivers are always updated, your windows are updated, your processor is updated. So there's a lot of that people are like, oh yeah, we probably do have to do that. So do you need an automated solution to help you with that and to manage that? And that's something that, while we don't sell anything like that, I know the best outcome or the best service or solution for what you're trying to accomplish. Other one that seems to be normalized, it seems like common sense, but people miss it the most, is there's not a point person. A lot of schools that we go into, both higher education and K through 12, or even rec, but more on the EDU side, is they don't have a point person to help run the program. They feel that, well, these students, they're gamers. You just put a bunch of PCs in a room and it'll take care of itself. It doesn't. It won't. It will fail. Guaranteed. The number one thing that we have seen from failure, programmatic failure of kids not showing up and not engaging, is due to a fact that there is not one person with a backup person that is showing students that on a Monday we do this, on Tuesday we do this, on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, here's our varsity schedule, here is how other kids can help out, or young adults if they're in college, university, or grad students. We have to remember that even though they are good at playing games and they enjoy playing games, they are not adults and they have not run programs. That is where adults come in. Any student needs somebody or people that are going to help to make sure the place is maintained, that goals are being looked after and trying to be achieved, that somebody is actually driving towards those goals, and that the students themselves feel welcome. You don't want a group of students getting in there that they're like, hey, well, you can't come in here, you're not one of us. Even though that doesn't happen much, it could. And just because somebody's a captain of a team doesn't mean they control anything. And there has to be somebody in there to hold the balance and continue to push people through and make those and make people and listen to students and continually have beating that drum of rhythm to make sure that things are always happening and you're trying to make it better. Without that person and a backup, because if something happens to person A, person B has to be able to come in and take it, your program is extremely likely to fail. Because esports is not just about playing video games. Esports is about having an environment and a program and a potential for students to find themselves and people of like mind. And you are putting emphasis behind it to help them get to another level or put structure around their gaming. Without structure coming from an adult or a staff member, the students are not going to build structure. That point person is the key to all of it at all points in time. And a backup for them is also. So that's why I would say this is the biggest one.